everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much for coming on. Introduce yourself and the name of your business.
I'm David Cardenas. I'm the owner of Relief Remediation, located in Alpharetta, Georgia.
Awesome, awesome. We truly do appreciate you coming in today, and we understand that time is one of our most valuable resources. So tell us a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, so I've been the owner of Relief Remediation for a little over a month now.
Okay.
I recently acquired it.
Nice.
But my journey of acquisition entrepreneurship was a long one in the making.
Okay.
So I started studying the topic way back in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
But prior to that, I'd spent quite a bit of time in corporate.
Okay.
I went to University of Alabama, got a marketing degree, and after that, spent about 20 years in corporate sales.
Okay. What were you doing?
Selling technology solutions. So worked for AT&T, worked for Cisco Systems, cybersecurity, system integrators, just different types of technology solutions. A lot focused on networking, cybersecurity, transport, that type of stuff.
Okay. That's a good deal. Did you do that throughout the country? Were you just in one part of the country? What was your location?
So my clients were throughout the country. All of the locations where I worked were headquartered out of Atlanta. So I've been in Atlanta since 2001.
Okay. That's a good deal. Now, you were with corporate. It sounds like a very similar background to me. I was with AT&T for many, many years. And then at one time I had to say, hey, I'm going to make the decision, go to small business. So after AT&T, that was all the way up till 2020. Was it how did that work?
No, AT&T, actually I started off with Bell South. Made the transition to AT&T when Bell South was acquired. And then, worked for an integrator.
Okay.
And then from there went to Cisco, spent about 7 years at Cisco. But the change really happened when I started, studying the topic of acquisition entrepreneurship.
Okay.
I think I always wanted to be a business owner. But it wasn't until I started reading some books. There was a Harvard Business Review book on the topic. Then I stumbled across a group that is run by Walker Deibel.
Okay.
He's the author of a book, Buy Then Build. And I joined that group, read his book, was plugged into a community of other folks that were interested in becoming owners. And both of those books and the community all advocate for acquisition versus starting from scratch.
Okay.
So that really started to kind of gel that this is actually really attainable. I think prior to that, I had the feeling that being an owner was something that I wanted to do, but I didn't quite understand the path to get there. And it didn't feel attainable. So it wasn't until I was plugged into a community and started educating myself on what those steps are, what those resources are that will support that journey, that I started to really realize this is something that I can do.
Yeah.
And via the acquisition model, it can be something that can be more of a transition from a corporate salary to being an owner and still having some cash flow coming in to support your lifestyle.
Yes. So 2021, we started on the education portion of it, got a couple, 2-3 years going on. You said you've been there about a month. Now, was it something that happened in your journey that made you say, you know what, I'm about to put this corporate umbrella down and jump out here in the rain?
Yeah. So I was studying the topic of acquisition entrepreneurship. I started searching. So I was in search mode, looking for companies to acquire, and I was in an active negotiation to acquire a company, and I was served with divorce papers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a shock.
It was, it was kind of a shock.
Yeah.
And it was a setback. But those happen in life.
Yeah.
And so, believe it or not, that process, we'll say, took about 2 years. And it was super expensive, really draining. But believe it or not, what it did is it galvanized me to pursue it with even more vigor and determination. That's just my personality type.
Yes, yes.
So I that deal that I was working on, I had to table it, right? No SBA bank or no bank in general is going to touch you if you're in the middle of a lawsuit.
Yes.
You have unknown financial obligations on the other side of it, and so you're not going to get financing. So unfortunately, that deal that I was working on, I couldn't complete it.
Okay.
So I had to focus on the filing that I was served with. But like I said, on the other end of it, I was like, this is my dream. And I felt like it was taken from me when I was on the goal line.
Yes, right.
I was on an act negotiation. We were within 10% of each other from a pricing perspective. And like I said, I had to just, refocus myself. So once that was completed, thankfully, I was like, I was galvanized.
Yeah, you're ready to go.
Yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna let this be taken from me.
Yes.
And so at that point, I decided to start a company.
Okay.
Despite what I learned.
What you learned.
Yeah. I was like, I'm gonna start something. It seemed like the most attainable thing to do, and I started a junk removal business.
Okay.
And I learned firsthand the difficulty of organic growth. Going from 0 to 60 is really difficult.
Yes.
And so at that point, I started to enter the search phase again. So I was like, let's revisit this topic of acquisition entrepreneurship. Clearly, my financial situation post divorce had changed changed drastically. That was a long legal battle, and it was draining on many levels. So I started search, albeit with a different set of resources.
Yes.
And I found a company that I wanted to acquire, and I was looking for a financial partner to pursue it. And in that period of time, it went under LOI. Letter of intent.
Okay.
Yeah. In other words, someone had it under contract. So like if you're buying a house, you put in an offer, they accept your offer, it's under contract.
Yes.
The equivalent in the acquisition world is LOI.
Okay.
So it's like putting your house under contract, putting the business under contract is an LOI, letter of intent.
That's right.
It's signed by both parties. All right. So I wanted to buy this company. I felt like it was a good fit. It was a restoration company. Someone else put it under LOI, taking it off the market, unfortunately. And at that point, I said, you know what? I can start a restoration company in parallel to the junk removal business. And so I did that. In the process of starting that up, I started taking certifications. I went to ICRC classes. And I actually, small world, I met the guy who had the company under LOI.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So we started talking, we became friends. And then a few months later, I got an email from the agent that was representing the seller saying it was back on the market.
Okay.
And so at that point, I called my friend who had it under contract. I said, what's going on?
What's the deal?
Yeah, what's the deal? And he kind of gave me the skinny on it. And he said, I won't get into the details because I don't know if there's like some NDA stuff that I can't discuss.
Yeah, making sure. Yes.
Right. But, for me, it still felt like a good opportunity. And he was kind enough to share the details of a financing partner that he had found that also liked the deal, liked the characteristics of the company.
Oh, nice.
And so I reached out to them, reached out to the agent that was representing the seller, and then I put it under contract in December of this past year. And then, we the due diligence phase ensued, and then about a month ago we closed on the deal, and I've been coming to the speed on being the owner of the company and trying to grow it ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, ask that question as far as an event that happened that made you burn the ship and go all in. This is the first time that I've had that particular response, but I could see how going through that particular event in your life got you ready for what's next, because it sounds like it wasn't one of those smooth transitions.
No.
which is the same thing that happens in business every single day. It's not a smooth road, because you got to make sure you got your labor right. You got to make sure you got your certifications right. your marketing, your money,
Insurance.
everything in order. So it's like those particular events that you went through, which sucked at that particular time, actually prepared you for what is next. So, it seems like it kind of got you in training camp ready for this situation based off of what you're sharing with me.
Yeah, I think some of it's just my personality type, that which was already there. But yeah, it did give me an extra push. I think prior to that event, I was kind of casually, kicking tires, looking at companies. It was something I definitely wanted to do, but that event ignited a fire in me. Like I had something to prove.
Nice.
I'm not going to let this event take this goal away from me. I was just hell bent on making it happen at that point.
Yes, makes a lot of sense. So now you've acquired the business.
Yeah.
You're up and going.
We are, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about what it is that you do, what services you're providing. How can we help you based off of what you're trying to get accomplished?
We provide a full service of restoration services to property owners. We do water restoration. We do mold mitigation. We do odor removal services. We do cleanup of biohazardous events and scenarios.
I see what you
So
mean.
that's any type of accident that results in body fluids. So in the state of Georgia, there's some specialized licensing required to do that kind of cleanup because it can be dangerous. There's bloodborne pathogens.
Yes.
And so we do biohazard cleanups as well. We do hoarding cleanups.
Okay.
So there are scenarios where people suffer from hoarding issues, and we can help them with that. And having those types of jobs, it's useful to have the resources in my junk removal business. We've got a mini dump truck that we're able to bring onto property to help clear out those locations of all the debris and unwanted stuff that those homeowners have. And then we also have a service offering that's a little unique, where if there's a property that has had meth or fentanyl use or manufacturing, we can do lab testing, so lab certified testing and sampling to validate if it has the dangerous chemicals associated with those dangerous drugs. And then if it tests positive, we can do the restoration work on the back end of that, getting that property into a safe state again.
Okay, makes a lot of sense. Now, this particular service that you're providing, what is the geographical area that you're trying to focus on? Is it Alpharetta? Is it Georgia? Is it the Southeast United States? Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's going to be primarily 30, 40 mile radius around Georgia, or it is 30, 40 mile radius around, a 30, 45 mile radius around Atlanta.
Okay.
We do extend outside that occasionally for some of our repeat clients. So we, we do business with some home investors, like people that are in the flipping business. And, one thing that's important is to foster your channels of recurring revenue.
Yes.
And so when we have clients that are a source of recurring revenue, we're absolutely willing to stretch for them. So if they pick up a property that's not, nice and neatly in our 30-mile radius where it's easy to get to, we'll absolutely service it.
Right.
We want to be strong partners to the clients that service us as well.
Yes. As you talk about that, you touched on what we call referral partners. So like those home investors are referral partners for you. They acquire the home, they call you to service it. Have you thought about or interested in creating a relationship with a specific industry that can bring you opportunities? What does that look like
absolutely.
for you?
That's actually where I spend a lot of my time is in developing those relationships with referral partners that can be a source of repeat business for us. So in the restoration business, property management companies, property managers fill that description. Insurance companies and insurance agents can also fit that description. I would say those are the primary two. As I mentioned before, anyone involved in real estate where they're flipping homes, investing in homes. We're happy to work with them because our services are a good fit for anyone that deals with distressed properties.
Okay.
In that same vein, real estate agents are also a great source of referrals for us. So I've been doing some educational events with real estate agents. We've partnered with Keller Williams. We've had the opportunity to do some educational events and speaking with Mark Spain, who has a really strong presence in Metro Atlanta, and talking to them about, for example, a topic that's really top of mind for them is mold. There's a lot of, first of all, mold is super prevalent. And then secondly, there's a lot of misinformation out there about mold.
Okay.
And so it's been really well received to schedule time to go and talk with these groups of real estate agents and educate them about mold and, how to answer questions like, is there a mold problem in this property? What should be done, perhaps what shouldn't be done, and then how can mold be properly mitigated, and what can be done just to keep mold out of a living space.
Yes.
I've got a vacant property, and I just want to make sure that I'm not inviting a problem like that into it, complicating my process of selling it or getting it, a tenant in there.
Right.
So that's been well received, and it fits well with our model. Helps establish us as a subject matter expert on the topic.
Yes.
And those are some of the channels that we've been focusing on for repeat business.
I wanted to ask, based off of something that you share with the bodily fluids, would it be like police stations and stuff like that get you those jobs? How would you get that? Ambulance?
Yeah, that's an interesting line of business.
Yeah.
So we do offer the biohazard cleanup.
Yeah.
Excuse me. But I guess you could say, thankfully, the volume of those types of events is much lower.
Okay.
The previous owners, I think, focused on that line of business a good bit, and so there is some organic demand for that business that just comes in.
Okay.
My focus right now is more on what I'll classify as high volume search terms and services. So within that scope of services that we offer, I would say mold remediation and water mitigation are the types of services that there is a higher demand for.
Okay.
But yeah, the biohazard that can be insurance agents as well.
Okay.
Because when those types of accidents happen, that's typically a covered event.
Okay.
And so when that type of tragedy occurs, the homeowner will oftentimes reach out to their insurance company. The insurance policy will often cover the cleanup associated with getting that property back into a safe state. And so, insurance agents are a great resource for that. But yeah, there is the possibility of socializing with police departments for that as well.
Okay. Just wanted to ask, like I said, because I'm here to try to bring out all those things so people can understand what it is that you're doing, how you're helping. And as you have shared your journey, you're in corporate, which I'm sure you have went over. Well, you said Bell South because I work for LM Berry, Bell South, AT&T, Cerberus. Yes, I was all of those, as well. And they put us through plenty of modules and training. And I am confident that over your experience in corporate, going through your learning of how to acquire businesses and now being a business owner, you have acquired and nurtured a bunch of business skills that have helped you to be successful. Do you mind sharing with the audience a couple of those skills that you have acquired that maybe they can use to help push them towards success?
Yeah, sure. So certainly having a background in sales has made me really comfortable with business development efforts, talking to prospects, talking to potential new clients. And that's important. I'm not going to undermine that, but if I had to make a recommendation on a skill that I have that perhaps others want to invest in, it's just first recognizing the importance of artificial intelligence,
Okay.
and being comfortable with assessing your workflow, your responsibilities, the things that you're doing day to day, and then just asking yourself, how can artificial intelligence help me in this process? So, I'm of the belief that if you're not using AI on a daily basis for multiple tasks, you're missing out. And so I would say, because of my background in technology, as soon as OpenAI came to market with ChatGPT, like, I understood how powerful that was. I started playing around with it, and I recognized that arguably that advancement of large language models and machine learning, and that jump forward is arguably the most consequential technology of our lifetime.
Okay.
And we're in the early stages of it, right? And so, like I said, because of that background, and recognizing the value of it, I feel like I've been very quick to leverage that technology in everything I do, from creating content to reviewing contracts, to just, if there's a task that's in front of me that's something I've not done before, I immediately go to ChatGPT and start discussing it with it on strategies, even digital marketing, which is one of the challenges of being a small business. How are you going to grow your awareness? I do a lot of education, and I would say that artificial intelligence has just helped expedite that process of learning new concepts.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely understand the importance of it, because staying on the cutting edge with technology is a thing. There are time that can be wasted by having to go straight to your yellow book and just, your notepad and write things down, where you can go to a system that is created for us to eliminate those tasks.
Yeah, I mean, not just manually write stuff down. Just before ChatGPT, you would go to Google, right? And you would search, like, I'm not sure, how to do payment processing. I'm not sure how to do podcasting. And you'd Google it, and you would read a web page that Google would serve up to you, and the process of taking those same queries and presenting them to a large language model like a ChatGPT, I would argue is a lot more expeditious, is a lot more informative, is a lot more powerful. And so, I'm just a big fan of our AI and how it can help and educate and all that.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. That's why we ask these skills and for you to share them, because that can be something that helps someone get over the edge. So I truly do appreciate you sharing that. Now, we've talked a lot about your journey, your business, those business skills, but I want to turn the corner just a little bit and let people understand that David is an actual human, right? He doesn't get up and go to his corporate and now go into small business just because he is a business person only. He does this because he wants to live this thing we call a life. So let's just say that business is coming along well. Time and money is not an issue at all. What is it that David would do with his time?
Well, the coolest part of my life is my kids. I'm so blessed to be a father, and it sounds kind of cliche, but it's so true. I've had in my life, I've had a chance to travel. I've had a chance to do lots of fun things, go to fun festivals. And I would say, bar none, the coolest part of my life is being a dad. So I have a 9-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son. And I think a big part of my journey is, one, hopefully scaling my business to a point where I have more time to spend with them, to invest in being a dad, but also setting an example for them that entrepreneurship is attainable, it's fruitful, and it's just something that they may want to do. I've mentioned this before, that if I could be the architect of their future, which I think a lot of parents want to be,
Absolutely.
right?
Absolutely.
I would steer them towards entrepreneurship, versus being a W-2, being a corporate employee, I would strongly encourage them to pursue that career path. That's the same advice I would give myself if I had a chance to talk to myself when I was a good bit younger. Is hey, it's attainable. This is what you want to do. Just go do it.
Right.
And so, to the extent that things proceed in a more successful trajectory, my hope is to have more free time to spend with my kids, for sure.
Makes a lot of sense. There's always a why behind what we do, and I see that your why. I can see how your eyes lit up when you start talking about them.
It's cool.
Yes, most definitely. So now, if the people that are watching today have a question about how you can help them with their restoration services, if they can get some additional tips about AI and how you're using it, what's the best way for them to contact you?
I'll say go to our website. We have a contact form. Our phone number's there. It's relief-remediation.com. We've got lots of photos of our work that we've done in the past, through previous ownership. So yeah, go to our website, check us out. Feel free to reach out. We also are on Instagram. We've got a strong presence there, so feel free to message me via those channels. We'd love the opportunity to talk to someone who has an active, water mitigation or water loss. We also would be happy to talk to someone who believes they may have a mold issue, and consult with them on whether there is an issue there, do air quality testing for them, or if there is just, a definitive issue, we can consult them on what the best path is to mitigate that problem, not make it any worse and cross-contaminate their space.
Right.
Or if they've suffered some sort of accident or tragedy has resulted in biohazardous issues, we can help with that as well. So yeah, go to our website, reach out. We'd love to partner with you if you're a real estate agent, an insurance agent, property manager. Please reach out to us.
Excellent. And we truly do appreciate you coming in today and sharing with us. We understand that it's not always easy to talk about some of the things we talked about.
That's life, though,
Yes. And I definitely appreciate you sharing that. And we always honor our guests for coming on and sharing by giving you guys the last word. So please look into the camera and tell the people something good.
Tell them something good. If you're out there and it's on your heart to be an entrepreneur, I would say just do it. There's a quote that Gary Vee, I don't know if you're familiar with him, that he repeats quite a bit, and that is, keying into your time is our most precious resource. Is that our time is all limited, unfortunately, and in the face of that, any type of failure that you might have is minuscule. We have limited time on this earth. Use it to pursue your passion. Use it to pursue your dreams. And if entrepreneurship is that dream, then make use of your time to chase that. For me, it's provided a ton of fulfillment. I'm so much more fulfilled pursuing my dream and being an entrepreneur. It's just been a great journey for me. So if that's on your heart and something you're considering, I just can't encourage you well enough to go seek some community to support you and just take that first step, take that next step. It's not all going to be clear, but you've got to just take that next step, and each step will become clearer as you go.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show with us today. We truly do appreciate your words of insight.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.